This statue is of the guest's great-great-grandfather, crafted by his friend Augustus St. Gaudens. He invited St. Gaudens to Cornish, New Hampshire, to find models for Lincoln's statue in Chicago. St. Gaudens rented a house from the guest's ancestor and later bought it, allegedly trading a portrait for it. Augustus St. Gaudens was a prominent American sculptor known for his work, including the Robert Gould Shaw Memorial in Boston.
Augustus St. Gaudens, certainly a king of American sculpture in the 19th century. I think his best known is his memorial to Robert Gould Shaw in the 54th Regiment.
Other sculpture is of Robert Louis Stevenson, unrelated to the guest's family, but cherished by his father. It's a detailed and elegant portrait. Bronze sculptures come with original oak frames dating back to 1887 and 1894. Beeman portrait is estimated to fetch
Auction between $8,000 and $12,000.
Robert Louis Stevenson piece is smaller but equally impressive, valued at
But I still think you're looking in the $6,000 to $8,000 range.
Okay.
Take a good look at the 1976 Playboy Bunny of the Year costume and accompanying trophy. The owner, Candy, shares her experiences as a Playboy bunny.
I have a long history with Playboy. I started at the St. Louis Playboy Club, transferred to the Chicago Club, lived in the mansion when Hef was in residence. I've done 8 covers for Playboy.
The bunny costume is an embodiment of the 1976 Playboy Bunny of the Year accolade. Candy's trophy, adorned with signatures from celebrities like O.J. Simpson, Ringo Starr, and others, adds a layer of prestige. As regards to this complete set,
what struck me the most about your suit is that when they do come up for auction, I've never seen one in such complete condition. You have every piece of it. That makes it pretty extraordinary, and I've never seen silver lame. Most of them come up are the primary satin colors.
Right.
the value ranges from $8,200 to $11,300.
Whoa, that's awesome!
And I actually think it's conservative because you're fabulous and your story's fabulous, and you even have the cufflinks on your cuffs, you have the bow tie, you have the story, you've got your name badge, and it's just so wonderful to meet one in context with the person who
wore it. Oh my God, thank you, Laura. That is thrilling.
Do you have any idea how much this Navajo bridle is worth?
I purchased this bridle approximately 30 years ago. The person I purchased was the granddaughter.
The grandfather in question was...
Her grandfather had obtained the bridle. He was an Indian scout, and he had a Navajo friend who gave the grandfather the bridle.
The bridle was initially purchased for $2,000. A closer look at the Navajo bridle highlights its rare Mexican ring bit, engraved plaques, and distinctive Naha, a Moorish symbol with a fascinating cross-cultural journey. Recognizing the bridle's exceptional age and craftsmanship.
They're not collected quite like some of the other things on the market, but I think it would easily bring $10,000 to $15,000 at auction.
Wow. Well, great. Well, thank you.
This landscape painting explores the beauty of nature. The painting was purchased by a guest at a family auction.
I lived in Switzerland for a short time, and it reminded me of my time there, and I had the perfect spot for it in my center hall of my home.
And the spectacular painting was done by Edgar Payne. Payne is an American painter well known for his Western landscape paintings.
Edgar Payne was born in 1883 and died in 1947. California artist. And he was a leading member of the California Impressionist artists at the early 20th century.
We can discern the marker's signature at the bottom left corner of the piece. Depicted in the painting is the majestic Sierra Nevada mountain, painted with oil on masonite, featuring a lake with detailed reflection. Another interesting feature of the painting is its well-preserved frame. This painting is a wonderful depiction of nature in a pristine condition, placing its value at
auction, would be worth somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000.
Ooh, nice.
The exterior of this item may not look attractive, but a look at the interior will change your perception of it. The sole purpose for which it was built is a little unexpected. During the early Victorian period, the company T.J. and J. Meyer, which was owned by three brothers, made the item to serve as a potty during outdoor events like a picnic.
I think it's a fabulous example of early Victorian sanitary manufacturing. So let's take a look at how it works. This is the business end of it.
A quick question. Would you buy this item if you knew what it was previously used for? Throughout the years, the pot maintained its original form without any alteration whatsoever. It valued in the range of $1,000 to $2,000. Not bad at all for a used potty bought at $30.
The artwork inside is pretty nice for it to be inside of a toilet bowl.
Our guest explains that the painting is from Japan and was bought there in the 1800s. It was acquired by their great aunt, an amateur painter who studied art in Japan for a year. During her travels, she collected items she loved and brought them back home. The appraiser identifies the artist as Atomi Gyokushi, a rare female painter born in 1859. This painting is a nighttime scene featuring cherry blossoms in full bloom, an owl, and a big moon, likely depicting an April night. It is painted on fine silk with the cherry blossoms rendered in pigments, ink, and vegetable pigments. The appraiser values the painting at a jaw-dropping price of...
You should insure it for $6,000.
$6,000?
Insurance, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
She had a feeling that the furniture she bought from a friend was special. But were they really that special? They were made around the late 19th century by one of the leading furniture-making companies in American history, Wakefield Rattan Company. The furniture was made with rattan, which was first used as packing material for ships until people discovered their potential to be used as furniture. Some parts of the furniture had some slight damage, but this didn't affect the value in any way. And although the appraiser was unsure if she would get back the money to repair the furniture, he advised that she restore them to maintain good shape. Her $300 purchase reaped huge profit with their value of...
A $5,000 retail price would not be out of the question.
A saddle that was presented to the winner of the 1981 Cutting Classic in Nevada was abandoned outside on a fence post until the guest picked it up and tried to bring it back to life.
Saddles shouldn't be left out in the weather. They don't survive very long.
The cutting event was hosted by the professional poker gambler Amarillo Slim. Cutting is a popular sport in Texas, which started as far back as 1898. The sport requires the competitor to separate at least 2 cattle from its herd and prevent it from returning. The saddle itself was made by Oliver Saddlery, but its connection to the famous poker player made it stand out with a value between
probably $800 to $1,200.
Our guest inherited this vase from her mother's family, knowing it was in the family at least since the 1950s. The appraiser identified the vase as Chinese, highlighting the vibrant and cheerful decoration. This design features emblems symbolizing long life, such as storks, peaches for prosperity, and pine trees for resilience. The turbulent waves, rock, and pine tree represent standing firm against life's challenges. Upon examining the underside, the appraiser noted a chin-long period mark dating the vase to 1736 to 1795. However, the appraiser explained that the mark is spurious and honorific, actually dating the vase to around 1900 during the Guangxu period. The appraiser confirmed that the vase was made for domestic use, not export, and this vase is estimated at an auction value of...
It's worth about $2,500 to $4,000 at an auction sale.
Wonderful.
Joe Fortenberry, the captain of the first Olympics basketball team to represent America in 1936, was the father of this man, who brought in some of his basketball items, including his jersey, trophy, and Olympics card.
This was the true short shorts. 38-inch legs hanging out of them.
Joe Fortenberry played in the AAU, which was the league preceding the NBA. His career spanned for years with several wins, like gold medal in the 1936 Summer Olympics and an AAU national championship in 1940. The entire teams on the show got valued at $5,250 to $9,250.
Wow, that surprises me for these.
Laid before us today is a Bain skateboard. It is a testament to innovation and the pursuit of adventure. Our guest bought it from a used goods store. This piece holds historic significance in the world of skateboarding. The Bain Company was originally a surfboard shop until it crossed paths with the iconic Frank Nasworthy, the inventor of the polyurethane wheel for skateboards.
The polyurethane wheel made it so this board could cruise everywhere.
The Bain skateboard has an impressive legacy, as it is the first type of skateboard ever used by the legendary Tony Hawk, an American professional skateboarder.
Frank Nasworthy is a godfather for modern-day skate culture. He invented the polyurethane wheel for skateboards, which revolutionized skateboarding.
This remarkable piece is not in the best condition, and the original wheel has been replaced.
Look at Tony Hawk, one of the greatest arguably to ever skate. His childhood started on a Bain fiberglass molded board. Only difference, Tony Hawk's was a blue-green board. This is clearly orange.
Due to its historic branding, it would have an auction value of...
So in the world of value today, I'm happy to say your $5 investment would get you $200 to $400 at auction today.
What? Would you reject something just because it was too fancy? We wouldn't. Her great-uncle was contracted by the government to make a camera during World War I, but unfortunately, his project got rejected on the basis of being too fancy. The camera remained in the family afterwards and was passed on to younger generations. His camera was indeed a fancy one, with features like a mahogany case, shutter release, film rolls, and a Bosch & Lomb lens. The camera was handmade, with parts purchased from camera companies.
So what's interesting about this camera is that it looks a lot like the aerial cameras that were eventually adopted by the government for military use.
In the end, his camera was a source of inspiration for the cameras that were later used. For value, it was...
I'd put this somewhere, retail, maybe in the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Good. That's wonderful.
Even though her sons gave her grief for buying things from yard sales, she still went ahead to buy these prints that caught her eye. The person who sold the prints to her for merely $25 must have been oblivious to their tremendous value. All of the prints she bought were part of a New Republic portfolio in 1924 called 6 American Etchings. Although she was missing one, she still had the ones by notable artists like Edward Hopper, Kenneth Hayes Miller, John Marin, Ernest Haskell, and Peggy Bacon. Each print was valued ranging from a few $100s to as high as...
And at auction, you're looking $30,000 to $50,000.
Cumulative value for the prints was $45,000 to $75,000.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Are your kids going to give you grief after this?
No, they better not.
Of course not. They might even begin to frequent the yard sale after this.
Our guest and his dad purchased these artworks at an estate sale in Atlanta, Georgia for $10 and $5 each, as the sellers believed they were prints. Our guest suspected they might be actual paintings and discovered that they were originally featured in Popular Mechanics. The appraiser identified the artist as Ed Valigursky, who was an illustrator for science fiction magazines and books, working with...
Now these are a little different, and you're right, these were done for in Popular Mechanics. Now you can actually see these this advertisement, how they were marketed, and you can see you can own these paintings. When you get down to reading about it, you see you can get a lithograph for $1.95.
The paintings were used as covers and posters in Popular Mechanics, including notable pieces titled U.S. Planes in Vietnam and U.S. Helicopters in Vietnam. These original artworks, unlike the lithographs sold for $1.95, are unique and hold significant value for collectors. The appraiser estimated the auction value of each painting to be at...
I put a conservative estimate on these at auction of about $4,000 to $6,000 a piece.
American poet Walt Whitman took to writing letters on behalf of injured soldiers after he experienced the ills of Civil War and what it did to them.
He saw the amputations, the wounding, he saw the destruction, and he immediately wanted to help.
The guest came in with one of the letters Whitman had written. It was written to her mother's third great-grandfather by a man named Albion, who unfortunately passed away 10 days after it was written. For as long as she could remember, the letter remained in her family and was passed on to younger generations. Because letters like this were from family, many people didn't think much of it and discarded them. After reading, however, the letter's association with the prolific poet made it very valuable.
I would say that a collector would easily pay in the $8,000 to $12,000 retail range.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
A finely crafted Pennsylvania walnut box dating from the mid-1700s was brought. This elegant piece is distinguished by its intricate vine and berry inlay, a hallmark of Pennsylvania craftsmanship from that era. The box was designed to hold valuables, reflecting both practicality and artistry in its construction.
I think it's a little farther north. This is very typical of a Pennsylvania walnut box.
Our guest acquired the box through a dealer friend in Beaufort, South Carolina. Initially thought to be Southern or Virginian, the box features unmistakably point to Pennsylvania origins. This beautiful little box not only showcases the meticulous artistry of the mid-1700s, but also serves as a tangible link to the past. Its historical significance and exquisite design make it a valuable piece for collectors. At auction, this charming artifact is estimated to fetch between...
This is a beautiful little box. It's a valuables box. A very easy estimate at auction would be $6,000 to $8,000.
Well, great.
Pre-World War I tin toy made by the German manufacturer Hans Eberl was brought into light. This was lithographed in various colors and marked Germany on the side of the box, dating back to around 1910 to 1912. It was a gift from the grandfather of the guest husband, who delivered goods for Strawbridge and Clothier. Strawbridge and Clothier, established in 1868, was famous for its holiday toys and festive displays. Although the original box of this toy is slightly scuffed from years of careful handling, it significantly enhances its value. It remains in excellent condition, a testament to its careful preservation.
It's a tin toy, lithographed in different colors, plus the decal you have here on the side. To find a toy like this in the original box is extremely important.
Its rarity, especially with the original box, makes it highly sought after by collectors. This amazing toy with nostalgic feelings is estimated to be worth between...
I would estimate the toy at $5,000 to $7,000. The one that just sold at auction with the box went for $6,500.
Wonderful.
Can you guess the price of this spectacular tea set? The tea set is an English bone china, adorned with a delightful chintz pattern. Here are some of what the appraiser has to say.
Chintz describes a pattern that's heavily floral and often repeating. It was incredibly popular in England in the 1950s. It waned in popularity as we got into the 70s and 80s.
The marks on the tea set unravels detail about the maker, Royal Winton Grimwades, and the pattern Somerset. With a rich history embedded in these markings, an extra layer of appreciation is added to this tea set, sending its current value to be between $400 and $600 at auction.
That's great, because I'm not selling it.
Amidst the historic ambiance of Boise's Egyptian theater unfolds about the enduring allure of Egyptian revival jewelry. In the early 19th and early 20th centuries, Egypt's appeal and the Suez Canal's construction sparked interest in Egyptian motifs.
It was at the forefront of everybody's imagination at the period. It was in the newspapers all the time, so this was a constant source for designers in the 19th century.
First, a 14-karat gold watch fob adorned with a carved Amazonite scarab and pharaonic heads dating back to the 1800s. Second is a Tiffany & Company set featuring a brooch and 2 earrings crafted from carved black limestone. Third is an Art Deco brooch from the late 1920s symbolizing the Egyptian revival's peak. This platinum brooch, embellished with diamonds, emeralds, rubies, and sapphires, bears the motif of neckbed, reflecting the era's renewed interest in ancient Egypt, influenced by the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb.
Now we have this beautiful set here, a brooch and 2 earrings. Tell me about this.
This piece was retailed by Tiffany & Company. It's in the original box.
In 1922, such pieces evoked the glamour of Egyptian-themed films of the time. Peaks of the era's fascination with the mysteries and grandeur of ancient Egypt, the value ranges from...
Such great condition. What's the value of this?
The retail value on this would be between $10,000 and $15,000.
This guest unveiled a trio of Ayn Rand books, each carrying a unique connection to the famed author. Sarah, the great-grandmother, played a pivotal role as...
My great-grandmother, Sarah, was Ayn Rand's first cousin.
Wow.
And Sarah was Ayn's sponsor to the United States in the 1920s.
The 3 showcased books, We the Living, The Fountainhead, and Atlas Shrugged, are not only literary treasures, but carry inscriptions by Ayn Rand herself. A rare occurrence, as Rand was known to be selective in signing books. We the Living, the first published book in the United States, holds a special place as a pre-publication association copy. Considering their familial significance, it's projected to be between $20,000 to $30,000 at auction.
Thank you so much for bringing it in.
Thank you. Thank you.
An impressionistic oil painting by Fern Isabel Coppage is displayed on the show. Fern Isabel Coppage was an American Impressionist painter. This painting became a part of the Guest family when the artist gifted it to the Guest grandfather, a surgeon, as a form of gratitude for the surgery he performed on her. The piece features a winter landscape and measures 30 by 36 inches. However, the Guest has replaced the frame.
And of that group, she's probably the best known of the women artists. She studied with Daniel Garber, who was probably the best known of them, along with Edward Redfield. She was an en plein air painter. She worked outside.
And the painting is in remarkably good condition, barring the frame. It's uncommon to find Coppage's works of this size. This rare piece is estimated to be worth...
I'd feel very comfortable with an estimate of 120 to 180,000. And I could actually 120 to 180,000.
Oh my goodness!
Unlike his grandfather and father, who were professional wrestlers, the Guest doesn't have the slightest skill for it. His grandfather was the professional wrestler Orville Brown, who won several championship belts in his wrestling days.
In this photo?
Yes.
Yeah, that's your grandfather there, right?
Right.
And this shows that he won in 1940. The loser does not look real happy.
On the Roadshow, the Guest showcased the National Wrestling Alliance Championship belt, which was first won by Brown in 1948. Among other items which the Guest brought in were several photos of his grandfather during his wrestling career and the car crash that sadly put an end to his career. The collection of items were valued at $3,000 to $10,000. Here we have a collection of flip books dating back to the owner's childhood. The owner's flip book collection covers a wide range of subjects, from baseball collectibles to iconic characters like Howdy Doody. The appraiser highlights the versatility of flip books.
The very early sort of animations. Well, what's interesting is these were used for a lot of different reasons.
A notable piece in the collection is the Chicago Pocket Movies, capturing action photos of baseball legend Ernie Banks. The Guest also brought a personalized flip book titled,
So we got the Antiques Roadshow Flip Book by the Flippist, and that's you.
The animation playfully features the appraiser, Lee and Les, and even a cameo by the toy guy, Wind Up Wahlberg. Can you guess how much this piece is going for?
I know that some of these are really valuable, some are really old. It's got to be a couple $1,000s worth of flip books, and that's a lot of flipping.
All right, it is a lot of flipping.
This tall case clock, a 17th century timekeeping marvel, revolutionized timekeeping with its long pendulum and heavy weight, ensuring reliability and accuracy. Gary describes the featured clock as one of the finest examples of American federal cabinet making in history, made around 1810 in Montgomery County, now Pulaski County, Virginia. While the exact makers are unknown, it is believed that the clockmaker David Whipple and cabinet maker Peter Wright crafted this masterpiece.
And in the center of the door, we have this stylized conch shell inlay, and the base panel is truly remarkable.
This clock's face was imported from England, and its design features an elaborate spread wing eagle. The case of the clock showcases exceptional craftsmanship with intricate chain link inlays and
it is sculpted, so the central inlay is raised from the background, and the sides and the top flare out. I have never seen a sculpted base panel like that before on a clock.
One of the most remarkable features is the sculpted base panel, a rare find in clockmaking. Crafted from mahogany with contrasting wood inlays, including bone, silver, and brass. This clock's interior brasswork was painstakingly crafted by hand, as power machinery was not available at the time, highlighting the clock's exceptional craftsmanship and uniqueness. Today, clocks of similar craftsmanship can fetch substantial prices at auction, with related clocks selling for $271,000.
Who says nuns can't collect ethnographic art? When she worked as a flight attendant, she went shopping in Ghana after one of her buyovers and bought an Ashanti comb from a woman in the market. But unfortunately, it wasn't an original piece. The Ashanti comb was meant to be worn on the hair by women who were seeking to conceive. Her second item, which she bought in Indianapolis, also appeared to be a reproduction. However, it was original. It was a Costa Rican figure dating back to as far as 1000 AD.
Some of it is abraded, which is something you'd expect. We would probably be abraded if we lived that long.
Her Ashanti comb, which she bought for $10, valued at $20 to $30, while the Costa Rican figure,
this piece at a good auction or a gallery would be $150 to $250.
Not bad return.
we can only imagine how long it took to paint the figures on this charming biscuit jar. The guest received the jar as a gift from a friend. Initially conflicted by its actual origin, it was revealed to her on the show that it was made by an American company, Mount Washington, that produced glass jars during the 19th century.
It was created by Albert Steffen, who was the head of Mount Washington.
The type of jar brought to the show was known as Napoli. It had paintings that was based on the drawing in a book by Palmer Cox. The remarkable thing about this is that the paintings were done on the inside of the jar, which must have been a lot of work. Here's the appraiser's thoughts on its value.
In terms of value, something like this at auction could easily bring between $4,000 and $6,000.
Oh my word, I had no idea. That's great, thank you.
Our guest introduces a lamp they found at a house sale last year, mentioning their interest in items from the 1950s. The appraiser identifies the item as a Cobra lamp and notes the label inside reads Ralph Smith, the producer, not the designer. The appraiser explains the lamp was designed by Greta Magnusson Grossman, a Swedish designer who began creating this futuristic bullet-shaped lamp series in the 1940s. The appraiser shares that one of these lamps sold at auction in February 2012 for...
It was actually designed by Greta Magnusson Grossman. She's Swedish, and in the late 1940s she started this futuristic bullet-shaped lamp series that was incredibly popular.
The appraiser confirms the lamp's worth and congratulates the guest on their great discovery.
Our next guest comes along with a unique family heirloom.
This used to be my great-grandfather's, and my grandfather inherited it. He didn't know what it was, so he thought it was a tool, and it was in his toolbox. And when he passed, we were going through his things, and...
The firearm, a creation of the Chicago Arms Company, with a limited production of less than 13,000 units, is a collector's item. Operating on a palm squeeze action, this concealable protector was designed for personal safety. When we talk about functionality,
so it operated with a rotary system inside, and we have 7 chambers. You'd have to load them one at a time, rotate the chamber, and keep going until you were full. And then once you were done, you could start firing.
dating back to the late 19th century, the pistol bears a patent date post-1893, placing its manufacturing period between 1895 and 1900. The pistol is estimated to fetch around...
A gun like this would retail at a gun show easily $2,000.
Wow.
Our guest introduced the item as a whale's tooth that fascinated them as a child and was originally owned by their great-great-uncle, who served on the Constellation. This tooth likely came from an earlier whaling period, possibly from a whaling ship.
Africa, where they were bringing the slaves over in ships and they would try to run down the ships. He gave this tooth to his twin brother, which was my great-great-grandfather.
The appraiser describes the Scrimshaw process, where sailors would carve images into the tooth with a sail needle or knife and...
The interesting thing I was thinking about just now is that he served on board basically a military vessel.
Right.
Because that was a war sloop, and they actually captured ships with slaves on them, but this would have come from an earlier time period.
The appraiser praises the tooth's wonderful patination resulting from years of handling and highlights its intricate images, including ships, houses, and an American eagle. The appraiser notes the legal restrictions on Scrimshaw today, emphasizing this piece's authenticity and age. They estimate the date of the tooth to be from the 1830s or 1840s. The appraiser values the tooth at a jaw-dropping price of...
At auction, it'd be in the $8,000 to $12,000 range.
Oh my word!
These Lone Ranger and Tonto life-size posters were popularized by the 1950s television show. What set these posters apart was the inclusion of the original mailing envelope, adding a unique provenance to these cherished relics. The thrill of receiving life-sized images of their heroes, the Lone Ranger and Tonto, made these posters a cherished possession. Despite their age and gentle wear, these artifacts retain significant value due to their scarcity. Even with minor imperfections, the Lone Ranger and Tonto posters hold an estimated value of $1,200 to $1,800.
Wow, even with the slight tears.
Even with the slight tears.
This vase, belonging to the guest's great-aunt from Ocean Springs, Mississippi, was a cherished family heirloom. The guest inherited the vase after college, having always admired its beauty and believing it to be a Tiffany vase. Our guest shared a letter from 1948 which described how the vase was a Christmas gift and
then she showed me the letter of her friend that had given it to her on Christmas Day in 1948.
The appraiser revealed that the vase is not Tiffany, but actually a piece of Lotz, often referred to as the Austrian Tiffany. This vase, dating back to around 1902, features unique characteristics typical of Lotz's work, including its phenomenon decoration, unlike Tiffany's flower forms. This Lotz vase has distinctive green leaves and a sculptural quality. Appraiser explained that Lotz was contemporaneous with Tiffany and their works possibly influenced each other. The appraiser valued the Lotz vase at a jaw-dropping price of...
In a retail shop, it would be between $8,000 and $10,000.
Wow.
Guest unveiled a treasure trove of baseball memorabilia. This baseball was signed by Babe Ruth for the guest when he was just 2 years old. Here's a baseball autographed by the great National League player Grover Cleveland Alexander. This is a 1936 home run ball hit by Red Kress of the Washington Senators and signed by the whole team.
This is a 1936 home run ball hit by Red Crest of the Washington Senators, and it's signed by all of the Senators.
The Babe Ruth photo is wonderful and signed, and the Grover Cleveland Alexander ball is a gem. Unfortunately, the Ruth signature is a bit smudged. However, the Roger Maris signature on the same ball is strong. Roger Maris was a great baseball player. Red Crest ball, with its provenance, is valued.
It's a 36 Washington Senators team ball. You could still estimate that anywhere from $700 to $1,000.
Grover Cleveland Alexander ball, with a nice white ball but a weaker signature, is worth.
The white ball, nicely done, that's between $2,000 and $3,000.
Pass has more sentimental value than monetary value. The personalized Ruth photo is worth.
Personalized Ruth photo like this, you could estimate at $3,000 to $5,000.
While the Ruth and Maris ball is valued at.
Only because of the smudging and a little bit of the faintness on the Roger Maris, at about $4,000 to $6,000.
Overall, the collection is valued at.
So overall, what you're looking at basically is a package that's somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000.
Oh my God.
Updated value of the entire collection is $15,000 to $20,000.
A kid living close to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway experienced a lot of car races and even met some of the racers.
And while my dad was doing his tax return at our kitchen table, I said, Pat, I've got my soapbox derby out in the garage. Would you like to come and see it?
His childhood connection to the speed race made him bid on this racing flag at auction. The flag was signed by 31 out of the 33 drivers of the 1958 Indianapolis 500, and also by some racing dignitaries and former winners. Two prominent signatures on it were that of the race winner Jimmy Bryan and the racer that tragically died during the race, Pat O'Connor. Putting his expectation for the flag at $4,000, the guest was moved to hear that its value is up to $10,000.
Wonderful.
It's a crime for such a marvelous painting to be left hidden. The painting was done by Jack Yeats, an Irish artist whose art, Liffey Swim, won an Olympic medal in the 1924 art competition. Jack Yeats's father was an equally notable artist. Truly, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. The painting on the show still had a new look and was undamaged thanks to the fact that it was behind the glass for so long. With the guest's decision to properly frame the painting and get it displayed at a museum, the painting will finally acquire its rightful status as an exceptional work of art to be viewed and admired by many. It was no surprise to hear the appraiser say,
"This, I think, today is worth £60,000 to £80,000. Good Lord."
One can feel the excitement as this guest shares the story behind the two clocks brought in for appraisal. The first, a staple cottage clock, boasts an alarm feature set by a brass disc. Its reversed painted glass and rosewood case make it a collectible model, likely crafted between 1885 and 1900. The second clock, a travel alarm, is designed for portability and, when wound, can accompany its owner on journeys. With German origins, this novelty clock was likely crafted around the time of World War I. Despite changing values, this holds steady at a conservative estimate of $450, while the smaller novelty clock has an estimated value of around $100.
Very nice.
Still work as well today as they did when they were first made?
First made? You can't ask for better than that.
And really a very nice find for you.
Yes.
This Leroy Neiman illustration has a unique history. Known for his vibrant depictions of sports events, famous personalities, and his role as a Playboy magazine illustrator, Neiman's versatility and popularity come to the forefront. The guest reveals that
Hugh Hefner had donated this and the magazine to back up the story behind it about 35 years ago. And we were at the charity auction and decided to go ahead and bid on it and won it.
Wow.
The illustration was created for an article by Neiman about his travels to Morocco, featuring a contrast between a young American woman and a Moroccan woman. It was published in the January 1970 issue of Playboy under the title East Meets West. Originally, this piece was acquired for around $300, but now the piece is valued at approximately $10,000.
Really? I paid.
Yeah,
That's
so you did
wonderful.
very well.
Oh, yes.
This exquisite Art Deco piece that once belonged to the guest father was acquired in Aspen, Colorado in 2001 and radiates a bright and shiny allure. This Art Deco piece is a rare find with its distinct Chicago influence. The vibrant, attention-grabbing design embodies the essence of American 20th century Art Deco.
Of American 20th century design, which has become very popular, especially amongst younger collectors.
The piece stands out for its flamboyant shapes and colors, reflecting the boldness of the Art Deco era. The piece was acquired for $3,000, but now goes for $2,500 to $4,500.
Okay, cool.
This is a music box that belonged to the guest's mother, who worked for a family on a farm in Lawrence, Kansas, and played it on the weekends. This is a Regina music box made by the Regina Company in Rahway, New Jersey. It has its original gallery, mahogany finish, and art glass front, and stands on cabriole legs. This Model 35 is for home or parlor use, playing 15.5-inch discs, similar to a jukebox.
We can see that the Regina Company of Rahway, New Jersey, manufactured it. It retains its serial number.
The serial number allows tracking of its purchase and manufacturing details. It dates from around 1898 to 1910. It's hand-cranked with this handle and plays when the swivel guard starts the mechanism.
This serial number, people have the records of this, so they can actually determine who bought it, when it was sold, and when it was manufactured.
Excellent condition makes it special. Estimated auction value is?
Auction estimate, I would estimate it at $15,000 to $20,000.
Next is a subpoena from the historic protest and anti-war movements that shook Chicago in 1968. Let's get some insight for this.
We were walking with a group of people from Lincoln Park who were pretty good. There were only like 2 cops minding them keeping them on the sidewalk.
Right.
But when Division got to LaSalle Street, a whole bunch of cops came running around the corner.
This remarkable document is a subpoena adorned with the signatures of the Chicago Seven, a souvenir from the guest trial testimony. This document holds a strong historical significance, capturing a pivotal moment in American protest history. The estimated auction value of this is $5,000 to $7,000. Recognizing its irreplaceable nature, the appraiser suggests,
As an auction estimate, I would insure it for about $10,000.
Really?
The spotlight is on an intriguing Parian Ware statue this time around. Exploring the replica's uncanny resemblance to the person it portrays, the appraiser reveals,
and this was made possible by an invention by a man called Benjamin Cheverton, and it was called Cheverton's reducing machine.
The material, ideal for sculpting figures like this, became a staple in porcelain artistry, lasting until the brink of World War I. The sculptor, Abbott Fessett, adds a personal touch to the piece, creating an artful fusion of craftsmanship and history. Despite its historical allure and the rarity of the model, the damages incurred over time impact its appraisal value.
Unfortunately, with all that damage,
Yeah.
you'd be lucky to get £100 for it, but you might.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there we are.
Lovely. Thank you.
The art of movement, frozen in time, is exhibited today in this Ballet Memorabilia. This collection of items is associated with Margot Fonteyn. Margot Fonteyn was an English ballerina.
Well, I certainly love the picture. And for the audience, to those who don't know Dame Margot Fonteyn, shame on them, but she was certainly the world's greatest ballerina.
The ballerina was a close family friend of the guest, and these items were given by Fonteyn to her mother, who was a very close friend. Contained in this memorabilia is a tutu design drawn by Fontaine. This drawing at auction would fetch a value of...
I would put an estimate of $3,000 to $5,000 on the drawing. It's very rare, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And a picture of the guest wearing a tutu sewn from the ballerina's design. Also showcased is a point shoe worn by Margot Fontaine. At auction, this shoe would be worth...
I would put an estimate on this of $8,000 to $12,000.
Really?
Absolutely.
A decorative powder horn, dating from the 1870s or 1880s, features a detailed carving of a cowboy lassoing a horse, showcasing exceptional artistry and craftsmanship. Although powdered horns were no longer essential for loading guns by this time, this piece stands out as a folk art object. The Guest family bought the horn in North Dakota 30 to 40 years ago at a Charles Russell art gallery. Though primarily decorative rather than functional, the horn's size and intricate design have drawn much admiration.
So these horns were more decorative at this point in the 1870s or 1880s. And these horns generally bring a little less than the ones that were really used for action.
Despite its decorative nature, the horn retains historical charm and cultural significance from the late 19th century. Its craftsmanship and artistic details truly make it a standout piece. A valuable investment and a cherished piece of folk art, at auction, this remarkable piece is estimated to be worth between...
This horn is worth between $2,500 and maybe $4,000, easily, okay? And it's not bad.
No, not at all for $300 investment.
Discovered in a hidden drawer is an 18th century waistcoat found in the Guest parents' house after their passing. Its design reflects the enduring fashion of the time, where intricate embroidery adorned men's attire.
But these waistcoats actually were used starting all the way back to the 1740s.
It is depicting a style reminiscent of lavish evenings and formal gatherings. Crafted from fine silk and meticulously lined with linen, the waistcoat showcases remarkable preservation and originality, with delicate details such as a functional pocket seamlessly integrated into its design. This exquisite piece offers a glimpse into a bygone era of sartorial elegance, where such garments were worn as parts of sophisticated ensembles, paired with knickers or breeches. In today's market, such 18th century garments are highly sought after in retail, fetching prices range of...
You would expect to pay somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 for this waistcoat.
Wow.
The appraiser examines the piece, identifying it as a great moose signed by A.P. Proctor. The appraiser explains that this is a casting made from another bronze piece by Proctor. They note that making a casting from another casting results in a loss of detail, but it remains a great-looking piece. The appraiser estimates its value at around $1,000. They add that if it were an original casting, it would be worth approximately...
From another casting, you lose detail, but it's still a great-looking piece. It's probably worth $1,000.
Okay, sweet. Our guest reacts with surprise at the potential value of an original piece. The appraiser introduces Alan Page, a former football player and current Supreme Court Justice in Minnesota. Alan Page shares that he and his wife found the piece while visiting their daughter in Chicago about 15 years ago. They discovered the parade banner at an antique dealer's shop and were moved by its emotional significance. They initially left without it, but Alan's wife secretly bought it. The appraiser explains that the banner was used in parades mourning Abraham Lincoln's assassination.
This is a parade banner that was used after Lincoln was assassinated. Right. Uncle Abe, we will not forget you.
This banner includes a parade torch at the top, indicating it may have been used in nighttime marches. The appraiser admires the banner's patina and emotional resonance, noting its excellent condition. This banner's sentiment reflects a hope for healing after Lincoln's assassination, a hope that still resonates today. The appraiser discusses the historical context, noting the struggle for civil rights that continued long after Lincoln's era. In terms of value, the appraiser estimates the banner could fetch at a price...
If I were to
put this in an auction of historical collectibles, I would think that this would be valued at somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000.
Oh my goodness.
Our guest acquired the chair while helping friends clear out their house for an estate sale. No one else wanted it, so they gave it to the guest for free. The appraiser identifies the chair as the cone chair, designed by Werner Panton. Werner Panton was a prominent 20th century architect and designer from Denmark. This particular chair is an early model from around 1958, noted for its distinctive shape. It has the plus line label inside and features an early metallic interior construction wrapped in vinyl. This chair is not in perfect condition, which affects its value. Despite the condition, the appraiser estimates the chair's value at about...
Because it's an early model, it would sell for about $800. Wow.
Pretty good for nothing.
Pretty good for free, right?
This is the legendary Elfego Baca, a figure known for its roles as a gunman, lawman, and politician during the closing days of the Wild West. Elfego Baca, a famed figure, served as a lawman, lawyer, and eventually ventured into politics, running for Congress in 1912 when New Mexico became a state. The guest shares anecdotes about Elfego Baca's life, including...
This is his wife, Crucita, with the boys. He was like a famous gunman, like a lawyer, a lawman in New Mexico. And he was involved in the Frisco shootout in 1884, which they made Disney movies about.
Focusing on these two rare pinback buttons from Elfego Baca's congressional campaign, let's hear what the value of these pieces are in the market today.
Because of the importance of these buttons and the rarity, we would estimate these two buttons to sell at auction for $2,500.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's shocking.
Guest presents a chair from the wood of the Dutch fleet from the Battle of Camperdown. This naval battle in 1797 was crucial in preventing a Napoleonic invasion of England. The appraiser explains that the chair's wood was captured by Admiral Duncan in October 1797. This chair features a Regency-style form with a reeded design, curved back, and tapered legs, dating it to around 1805 to 1810. It has unique embellishments such as cannons, cannonballs, and a British fouled anchor.
This form is, without all the carving, is basically a Regency-style piece.
Made of oak, the chair is identical to the one at the Maritime Museum in England, except for its solid wood seat instead of a wicker insert. A Roman numeral 3 under the chair suggests it might be one of several made, possibly for an admiral's home. The appraiser values the chair conservatively at...
In terms of value, I would be conservative if this were to come to auction and probably put a value of around $3,000 to $5,000, with the expectation that you get the right people in there and it could go as high as 10.
Most folks see a ring as beautiful as this. Their first reaction would be to exclaim because of how exquisite and appealing it is to the eyes. This is a jade and sapphire ring that was made in the late 1920s.
She was given this jade ring out of Sarah Hines's jade collection. She rode up until she was about 80 years old.
The ring is equipped with two of the most fascinating stones called jade and sapphire. It is also mounted on platinum to increase its beautiful appeal.
The ring is really exquisite, and I can date the ring probably to the late 20s. It's pure Art Deco. Would that fit in with the time frame 1928 to 1930?
At the time of its creation, rings like these were in high demand, and even till now, rings like this, due to their superior make and features, are still in massive demand. At auction, this Art Deco jade and sapphire ring would retail at the auction price of...
You're probably in the $10,000 to $12,000 range today.
Wow, that's amazing.
The first U.S. edition of Huckleberry Finn book from his father. Books like this wear out over time, especially when they're shelved. However, this one is in perfect condition, making it rare and valuable. Typically, a worn-out copy might fetch $1,000 to $2,000. This book is a classic, and collectors covet it, especially in this condition. As it's preserved so well, it's worth...
I would go as far as to say that it's worth $10,000 to $12,000. Wow. It's a classic book, and in this condition, I don't know a collector who wouldn't want to own this book.
Current value of this book is $12,000 to $18,000. This charming bronze bear, gifted to the owner by their uncle, is a sculpture by the renowned artist Anna Hyatt Huntington. Anna Hyatt Huntington, born in 1876, was one of America's most prominent sculptors of the 20th century. Growing up with a father who was a professional paleontologist and zoologist at Harvard, Hyatt developed a deep fascination and...
She was born in 1876 in Cambridge, Mass. And her father was actually a professor at Harvard of paleontology and zoology.
The bear sculpture, signed by Anna B. Hyatt, showcases her exceptional ability to capture the movement. Cast at the Gorham Foundry in Providence, Rhode Island, this particular bear is number 4 out of 138 castings, and
this is actually number 4 of this model out of, I believe, 138 that were cast by them.
Despite marrying late in life and facing challenges as a woman artist, Anna Hyatt had a prolific career that spanned over 70 years until her death in 1973. With her long-lasting impact on the art world and her ability to convey the spirit of animals in her work, Anna Hyatt Huntington remains a celebrated figure in American sculpture. For insurance purposes, the value of this bear sculpture is estimated to be around...
I would think for insurance purposes, you want to think of a figure at around $5,000.
Okay. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
The guest inherited a collection of family heirlooms, including a miniature painting and a letter from Napoleon III. The guest's great-great-aunt was a miniaturist who painted 2 portraits, one of which was sent to Napoleon III. Napoleon III responded with a letter, which the guest still kept along with the original envelope. The guest also had a watercolor of Napoleon I and a cartridge box plate from the Battle of Waterloo. The miniature painting was well done, and the letter from Napoleon III was significant due to the heraldic crest on the stationery. The gesso frame with the Napoleonic crest added to the collection's value. While Napoleon III was not as highly regarded as Napoleon I, the collection was still valuable. Acknowledging the collection's importance as a nice group of things with a compelling history, it was appraised at...
I'd estimate its value at $1,500 to $2,000 because it's just a great little story, and the painting is wonderful.
As payment, the guest father-in-law got these figures for helping some Jewish people get out of Italy during World War II. The figures were made after the characters of the Old Testament, David, Moses, and Elijah. With no evident date on the figures, the time of their creation was unknown. So also, the Chinese writing, but European style, made it difficult to determine whether it was made for Christians in China or Europe. Nevertheless, the figures were made by the Chinese using glass and a copper base.
They are tremendously exciting because the Chinese themselves very, very rarely produced figures, let alone European figures. And I have to say that I have never seen anything like these before.
Their value was placed at
10 and 20,000 pounds or 100 and 200,000 Swedish krona.
How old do you think these figures could be? Drop your guesses in the comments. Our next item is an unusual Bohemian fountain. The collector reminisces about his purchase at an auction sale.
I believe I bought it at a sale. I used to attend auction sales.
Right. Well, it's a funny looking thing, isn't it?
It is that, but I fell for it the moment I saw it.
Crafted in Bohemia, likely Austria, around 1900, it exemplifies the fusion of pottery and glassworks. The region's prolific glass industry, boasting around 300 glassworks, played a significant role in shaping this unique piece. Despite the appearance of metal, the fountain is, in fact, earthenware, meticulously painted to simulate bronze, a common practice in Austria during that era. What could the price of this gem be?
And what did you say it was worth?
I'd say anywhere around 3-4, it may even make £500
yes.
plus.
Is this a piece of glass or metal? Comment your guesses, and let's see who gets it. A friend of the lady bought this piece from a man who wanted to convert it to a lampstand, but realized it would be impossible without causing damage to it. Good thing he didn't, because the piece underwent a lot of processes to come out looking as charming as it is. Techniques like blowing, acid etching, and firing were all carried out during the manufacturing process.
This is not wax, this is a sort of a metallic oxide. This is then gone back and into a furnace, and it's been fired at a critical temperature to get this sort of metallic iridescent surface.
The maker was unknown, but the style of the piece looked Austrian. A 1-pound purchase ended up becoming a 400 to 500-pound piece.
Yes.
Right.
So it was a good deal anyway.
It was a good deal.
Yeah.
Your friend has obviously got a good eye.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know where the flea market was and if we've got time today to nip down there.
Yeah.
Only the key of this box alone is enough weight to carry around, not to talk about the metal box itself. The guest used the box as a suitcase when he went to Sweden after World War I. It was made in 1775, and according to the appraiser, that was very late for boxes of this design. The design on the box, which was in the Rococo style, was made with iron and beaten out with a hammer to form the shape.
This is the best I've ever seen. It's the most amusing and very decorative.
As a box from the late 18th century with such a charming design, it got valued at 10 to 15,000 pounds.
It's good. It's lovely, isn't it? Yes.
Now, this next guest brings his collection of Victorian posy holders. It was given as a gesture of love.
It started with my mother wearing flowers and father getting tired of the cleaning bills and bought her one. And she saw him off on embarkation leave and lost it. He never returned, and basically ever since we've been trying to find the original.
This creme de la creme of the collection of Victorian posy holders was crafted to allow young ladies to carry flowers without soiling their gloves. The collection boasts a stunning gold filigree piece with Chinese influence, a regal one with Queen Victoria's monogram, a rare Russian posy holder, and a remarkable Indian-inspired creation with intricate filigree work. The gold ones are estimated to be worth around 2,000 pounds each, while the silver ones, adorned with mother of pearl, fall within the range of 500 pounds to 1,000 pounds.